Tamily. We are about to begin our episode 102 of Ask Tamily, and our guest today is Charlotte. Her Instagram name is HappyLot90, so make sure to follow her if you aren't already. And we are about to connect. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thanks for joining us for what I keep calling an early Sunday morning Ask Tamily, but it's really not early for you.
No, not quite. Lovely sunny afternoon here, so.
That's excellent. Thank you for joining us from very far away, but we have a great connection. We will go ahead and jump into the questions that we have prepared for you, but of course, we'll check the chat throughout and see if anyone has any live questions too, which is always fun. Let's go ahead and start with our favorite question, which is when and how did you get started with the Tracy Anderson method?
That's quite a while back now. I started in 2011. That was, I came across the 30-day method book on Goop, and then I kind of like got a little bit into the moves. I think what intrigued me first about it was really the ballet aspect of it. I used to do ballet when I was quite little, so I guess from 3 to 10 and then I stopped, but I always loved dancing. So having the opportunity to kind of like have these moves incorporate in it a little bit again was really what drove me to it. And then I guess over the winter I stopped again, and then in February 2012 was when I really got started and did the original mat DVD for about 4 or 5 months, I would say. Not precision toning, the Perfect Design series.
Okay.
And then I went into Meta in August, I guess.
Okay.
And then did Meta 2 years of continuity, I guess, around 2 years. And then came to streaming in 2016 when my mom got me 3 months for Christmas, and that kind of like kickstarted it, and I've never looked back.
That is an excellent Christmas present. Excellent. Yeah. Awesome. So which workout do you usually do in streaming?
Well, I always used to do a chain. And when I started streaming, we had masterclass, that was it. There was no beginners, nothing else yet. I think there were a couple of dance cardios on there. I guess a few of them. So I always did masterclass up until last year sometime. I had a shoulder injury in 2017, which I think came from too much computer work, studying for my bar exam. And that was really kind of like left shoulder. I got physiotherapy for that, and that went away pretty quickly. But then last year, like probably end of 2018 and all the way through 19, I had my right shoulder really acting up, and then I scaled down, got back to fundamental. I think because the moves were getting more and more difficult in a way, and my head was always like, no, I'm in masterclass, I'm in attain, I have to be there. I've been doing this for too long, I'm not going to scale down. And eventually my body said, no, you are going to scale down. And yeah, that's what happened. So now it's really fundamental, I guess, 5 to 6 times a week. And so far, it's been working great for me.
That's excellent. What was it that made you choose the Tracy Anderson method over other fitness methods?
Originally, the dance element, and I think by now it has become really a way that my body loves to move, and I really crave it. So if I'm going, I think I go running with my boyfriend here and there, but it's so repetitive. It's so stupid. I'm like, I don't feel good doing it. And I think the stretching element while strengthening your body is really what has driven me to it. And the fact ultimately that it does not get boring. I've been doing it for what now, streaming for 4 years. It doesn't get boring. It's never the same class. It's always the same energy. And even if there's a class you don't like, you only have to do it for like a week and then you're like done with it and you can go on to the next class, which is nice too.
Yeah, and like as soon as you feel like, okay, I know this class and I'm good at it, it's over. So
Yeah.
it's always new. So we have a question for you in the chat from Jen, and she says, Charlotte, what is a motto that you would like to see posted on a billboard for all to see? That is a very difficult first chat question, but I wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to try to answer it.
I guess a lot of times what's holding us back is our mind. So I think that a lot of times, even the beginners, if they want to try to do fundamental and they feel like, oh, an hour is too much, it's like, give it a try. If you have the time on the weekend, just give it a try. Just try. Skip the ankle weights in the beginning, but kind of like modify in a way that you can do, and you probably are going to be surprised at how much you can do. So I think, I guess that would be a motto, is like, don't let your mind kind of like hold you back. Don't let it take over what you can physically, what you could be doing.
Yeah, that is an excellent point. We put many more mental limitations on ourselves than really there are physical.
Yeah.
So what kind of results have you seen over the years of doing the method, physically, but also not physically?
Well, physically, when I first started, that was a period when I was also like kind of checking in with my nutrition. So I guess I originally lost about 20 pounds on the method. I guess a bit of that has crept up again over the years, I'm pretty sure, but that's a big point. Another big point is just the continuity of like going into a workout routine, which I've never had in my life, if I'm being honest. I think I've always had, like, besides school sports, it was always like rowing for once a week or maybe twice a week. That was a lot for me. So I guess really committing to something, sticking with it, that's a big part of it. And then mentally, for me, it's just like the perfect way to really clear my head, get it all out. If I've had a shitty day at work, I like to go to the mat, even if I've done something in the morning, maybe just do an arm sequence from AMC in the evening, and it'll immediately, those endorphins are getting into my system again, and I'm gonna leave the mat happier.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Who from the Tamily inspires you?
Too many to count, I guess. No, honestly, I can honestly say I've been lucky enough to have met a few of you over the years, in London, in Germany, here in Switzerland, and we're all, I'm always saying that we're all so different and everybody has their own story, but we have this uniting element of Tracy. And I've never met anybody I didn't like. I've never met anybody that I couldn't somehow communicate with. So I guess all of them. But if I'd have to say one who's recently made a big impact on me, it's actually JC Burke, who is in Basel, and I've never met her in person. I can't wait until this whole COVID thing has calmed down and we can finally meet in person. But she's been such a positive and motivational presence during this COVID time, and also with my recent job change, where she's been like nothing but supportive and helpful. And yeah, that's just, she's really been inspiring me and inspiring me also to not settle and just make sure that I'm happier again in my job as well.
That's wonderful. It's so amazing when we can make connections like that are totally beyond the workout, but you'd never know each other if it wasn't for the method.
Nope.
So she asked another somewhat difficult question, but I figured we should let you answer it. She said, Charlotte, if you could travel through time and talk to your 20-year-old self, what would you say?
I would say you're going to be a lot more confident and a lot happier once those puberty hormones are out of your system a couple years later. I just turned 30, so now officially the 2 is gone. But I guess overall, just trust in your path, and don't worry too much about what others think, because at the end of the day, if you're going to be happy, and you have to be happy with the life you're living and you're choosing for yourself, and it doesn't really matter what everybody else thinks about you. So I think that's a big point, because in my 20s, I was super insecure. It was like kind of like starting to date. And it just, yeah, I think it was just a very insecure period for me until I kind of like had a lot of it figured out a little bit later in the 20s.
Well, it's funny because people act like your 20s are supposed to be your like best time, and they're not. Like that, most people are very insecure. They don't know what they're doing with their life yet. They haven't figured things out. I mean, usually like your body and your metabolism are pretty good, but other than that, it's like you're figuring out your career and stuff. It's so much pressure to think you're supposed to have life figured out in your 20s. It's crazy to me. Like that's, but it's such a good call out. Like 30s and even 40s are just
Yeah.
better. How do you personally get and stay motivated to work out on a regular basis, especially if you didn't always do that before the method?
For me, I guess probably the music has always been a big part. Even during the meta continuity days, I've started to make my own playlists, just because that generic thing got boring really fast. Yeah, a lot of the music, I guess, in streaming, when we didn't have the copyright issues that we're having now, that was like the initial thing that I loved about streaming was hearing all of the songs I was hearing on the radio in class, and kind of like being able to sing along and having a whole different energy because of it. And now I guess a big part of it is yeah, again, is also music. So right now I'm making a lot of playlists for weeks where I'm really like, what is this song? I can't really connect to that. Which is fine, because it really allows me to kind of be creative in that way. And sometimes it's the most random things thrown together. But as long as I'm happy with it at the end of the day and I can perform to it well, that's a big thing. What's always motivated me is connecting on Instagram and meeting, hearing what everybody else was thinking about the week. If I had a heart move, maybe someone else had a super hard move as well. That's always helped. And now during the COVID time, we've had these amazing Zoom workouts that have been and are still so much fun, and I never want them to stop. Like, even if we're all back to work, please don't stop with them, because yeah, they just make my weekends for now, because I've got to be up so early that usually I don't have anyone who wants to do it with me at like for 5:30 European time here. Central European time in the mornings. But over the weekends, it's just a joy to be able to move with each other, and it brings a whole other energy, which it's the same thing. I mean, we're having screen to screen, but in a way, it's still, yeah, I don't even know where it comes from, but you can feel the energy even when we're all muted and everybody has like listening to the same playlist, but we always go through it, I guess, together, and it brings another sense of community that I always get the same high as I did when I was visiting the studio, essentially. So
Yeah, it's crazy, but it really is like we've really been in person, even though it's just on Zoom or Instagram. Like
yeah,
that's unbelievable. And to me, especially during this time, like all we had to do was like one little extra thing, like just get on Zoom. We already had this community. Like I can't imagine going through this and not already having this connection.
no, it really has helped. And I guess even if somebody is like in a rut in working from home and is like, I'm not sure, I don't know what I want to do. If I want to work out today, it's like there's always someone in the chat saying, hey, you better be here at 9 a.m. with us because we're working out and you're going to be there. And you can just, keep yourself a lot more accountable with that. So, so that definitely helps. Even if I'm working out in the mornings alone, I guess I get the motivation during the day when everybody else is like posting their group shots and saying, hey, we had a great workout together. And that definitely helps. Or basically just the Instagram community. I guess I always kind of felt not bad, but I guess a little bad, I guess, if everybody was posting their workouts like, have you worked out today? I'm like, no, not yet. But I probably should, and I know that I'll feel better for it. So yeah, the hardest way is to the mat, but usually once you're on the mat, you're fine.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm always like, just do arms, and then you feel like do it.
You're most likely not going to stop after arms.
So, do you have any workout partners?
My sister used to join me like when we were both home, or like she came over for the weekends a couple of times, but here not really, no. So usually it's just me. I think my boyfriend did do it once with me. Yeah, I got him to do it once, and he acknowledged it and was like, yeah, it's a great workout. But it's not for him, and now he broke his elbow back in February, so he can't do anything that's like on the arms still, really. But apart from that, it's usually just me. But I mean, I have all of you girls there with me, I feel like, so I'm good with that. And maybe one day we'll get a Swiss meetup done, and then we can do we can just all come together and then have that experience.
That would be amazing. Sigrid would like to know, what is your favorite kind of baking?
Do I have a favorite kind of baking? I think it depends a lot on the season for me. Like usually, typically in summer, it will be more cheesecakes, even no-bake cheesecakes that are like really refreshing and a little bit lighter, or things usually that have some sort of fruit in them. And then I can never say no to a good brownie. That's like never, it's never gonna happen. A good chocolate chip cookie is definitely something that I'll probably do once a month for sure. And they're always gone way too fast. So I'm not super patient. So I get impatient pretty quickly, which my mom always says used to be the way since she was pregnant with me, because I was born prematurely at 28 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she always said, well, you were just way too curious to stay in there and impatient. So I can't do, or I've done them, but it's not like my personal preference to do like these highly decorated. I mean, they look beautiful if you have a cake like that has a kind of like a fun theme to it. But I guess I'm usually a bit more practical about them. They can look great. It's nice if they look great and they taste great. But at the end of the day, the taste is always more important to me.
Yeah, I agree. So Sigrid would also like us to do 2 truths and a lie. I don't know if you're prepared to do that right now, or if you want to ask a few more questions and we could like save that close to the end. You're getting these tough questions in the chat.
All good.
So keep the 2 truths and a lie in mind, and we'll come back to that. And then Jen would like to know what your favorite leggings are, which has to be an easier question.
They've also been changing over time. I think at the moment, Sigrid's Lift Nation leggings, I got one of the Bloom collection, which are so gorgeous. I think I've been running around in them pretty much all day yesterday as well, until I had to change out of them before leaving the house. And the second one that I really have a ton of at the moment, and probably all of my wardrobe is made out of them, is Cleo Harper, which is an Australian brand. And they have two different materials, but I really love both of them as well. They don't show, so they're like squat proof. You can squat down as low as you want to go, and you're not going to show anybody anything, which I love. So I think those two have really become firm favorites. And Heather Tamily Hawk Hustle leggings, which I think are very similar in material to cigarettes. Those are beautifully designed as well and really, really great. So I love them too.
So many legging choices.
Yeah.
Have you ever met Tracy?
I did. 2017. Yeah, 17. Okay. And for the London Vitality Week that we did. Okay. So that's when I met her.
Tell us about your experience at the London Vitality Week.
It was so much fun meeting everybody. I remember I had a huge problem with knowing everybody's Instagram handles and not knowing their names. That's I remember I was like, you're this handle and you're this handle. Yeah. It's just like, yeah, I'm actually called this and this. I'm like, okay, good. Right. So that was really, really great. We had, I think there were 8 of us, mostly from Germany, France, and the UK, who Airbnb'd a house, and then we all stayed in this together. Goes back to the same thing, like 8 strange women in a house. We had never met each other, none of us, and we had a great time. There was no bitching at any point. It was just like the really like greatest 4 days ever. I had so much fun. And then meeting Tracy, I guess I was starstruck and nervous as well. The first time, I'm surprised at how tiny she is. I mean, I'm 5'3". I'm not huge, not tall in any way, but yeah, it feels weird looking down, I guess, in a way you still do. And just the energy that we had, I think we kind of got into a ritual because there still is no London studio. We had it at a dance studio at a remote location, and then we had to like lug our mats and weights and everything with us, so we looked truly funny every morning taking the train with all of like our luggage to the studio. But yeah, that was such a great experience, and like truly amazing workouts, and the energy in that room was insane. I always will remember that.
Yeah. Have you ever been to an actual studio as well?
Yeah, in Madrid last year. Yeah.
Awesome.
That was really fun too. I was thinking of like maybe doing a 30th birthday trip back, and then COVID hit and I never really got around to it. But I definitely want to go back because the studio is awesome. I think Madrid, I have not really seen a lot of the city because it was back in January and it was raining all day. So I kind of like probably went from bakery to bakery and just had chit chats with the other girls I was with at the time. So that was really, really, really great. But I definitely want to go back and just enjoy more of the city. And I love the Spanish food. I love the wine. So yeah, just next to the workout, there's a ton that I still want to do in the city. Definitely. So I probably will be back a lot more.
Right. Food, wine, shopping, and Tracy.
Perfect. Yeah.
What would be your advice to someone that is new to the Tamily or to the method?
Well, again, if you're struggling with motivation, just reach out to others. Go search them on Instagram. I know that Tracy has been bringing back the Tamily Tales. That's how I originally got into Instagram. I think that must have been, 2016, end of 2015. I remember Nadine being one of the Tamily Tales, and I remember like stalking quite a few of you, I'm sorry, and just looking at your posts and asking questions about streaming. I was worried that the arms were way too hard for me, with like 20 minutes of arms was like the norm back then. So I was really worried about that, and just everybody had asking their, yeah, you could ask any question, they would always be helpful. So I guess that's a big start. And then it's like, work your way up slowly. I still think that Meta is a great base to start at, because she does explain a bit more of the angles, so you kind of like get a better feeling on what you really have to look into. Arms from the original Matt DVD, or like the whole program where she also explains more if you've never done ballet, if you've never done anything kind of in that direction, because I remember it helped a lot being in ballet classes when I was little, just with like, how do you extend an arm, how do you make sure your toe is pointed, and all of those things that were kind of like normal to me, I guess. And then, yeah, work your way up slowly. You do not have to use the ankle weights right away. I mean, I guess I know a ton of people I've rarely ever used ankle weights in Meta and in continuity, and I still had really lovely results, and I got the kind of like the definitely more definition, what I wanted to have. So work your way up slowly and never be afraid to ask. There's no such thing as stupid questions. Honestly, there's just not. But yeah, maybe find somebody who is willing to do start with you here and there if you're lacking motivation. I mean, for some that's an active rest day or something like that. But just like, maybe you're gonna find other people in your town or in close by, so you can just meet up and chat, and yeah. But definitely never be afraid to reach out to any of us.
Yeah, that's definitely a great point. I think sometimes when people are new, they feel intimidated, but there are literally thousands of us that will answer any question to anyone. Like,
yeah,
they just can reach out. And like, to your point, it's so important to kind of start like with what makes sense for you, and not feel pressure of, well, I have to do heat and humidity, and I have to have the perfect clothes, and I have to, also use the weights. Like, you can start in an easier way and just, take the steps towards where tons of people are who've been doing the method for like a decade. But yeah. Excellent advice. What are some challenges that you have faced in doing the method?
Well, I guess for me, the challenges was definitely the injury part. So that was something I was not used to. I remember being back at the doctor, and he was like, yeah, but you must have felt something. I'm like, well, I didn't feel anything. It's just I woke up and shoulder hurt. Like, where are we go from here? And then to really have the patience, first of all, to go through the physiotherapy treatment the first time. I mean, looking back at it now, it was like 10 weeks. That was nothing through what I've been going through last year when I think I really struggled. I think all in all, I probably had like 40 weeks out of the 52 of the last year in physiotherapy. And I really didn't know, like, how far can I go? What can I do? What is too much? And then my mind being in there, no, you have to do attain, because fundamental is too easy. You can't do fundamental. It's like your brain wants that attain connection, but at the end of the day, none of that endorphin or adrenaline rush that attain maybe provides is worth getting injured and like staying injured and not getting rid of the inflammation that. So the right shoulder was basically an inflammation in the bicep ligament right at the top. Okay. That's not worth it. So at the end of the day, I guess if I can do fundamental, and I'm with these weeks, like the past few weeks, I've been probably burning almost as much as I would have in attain usually. So I think always look at where your body is at if you're in that situation, and listen to your body at the end of the day. But that was a challenge, just like over the time that I was really getting frustrated and like being like, I don't know what's wrong, and it doesn't get better, and it's supposed to get better. And I got one cortisone injection that hurt like hell. And then I guess 10 days later, the pain was back full force. And he told me that it would probably be like 3 months of no pain. And I was like, cool, okay, I'll probably take the bucket full of pain for one day if I have three months pain free after. And I didn't. And that's when I went back and said, okay, I just want more physiotherapy because that has helped a ton more than the stupid cortisone injections. And just scaled down, did arms for a while without the weights, mat work without the weights, and then like really slowly worked my way up into it. But yeah.
Lesson that you really do have to listen to your body and not feel pressure about being in Attain. I mean, to your point, streaming has changed a lot, and this Attain is not the same as what Attain used to be either. So you can't feel bad for whatever, lane that you should be in.
Yeah.
Definitely. What is something that you've learned from Tracy?
That if you really want the results, you have to be consistent. I think ultimately that's something. Also that there's beauty in being uncomfortable, that it's good for the body at the beginning of the week to be uncomfortable, not to be comfortable, but to really like learn the new sequence, let go of everything. I think that's another big part that I really have learned from her. But truly being consistent, having fun in a workout, that it should be fun. It shouldn't be anything that you're like, oh, I kind of have to do it, but I don't really want to. No, it should be fun, because if it's fun, you're going to keep on doing it. And if it's not, you will stop.
Exactly. Yeah, that's totally key. Do you have any tips for doing the method while traveling? Of course, once we're traveling again.
I mean, I've been probably doing like 4 or 5 years of holidays with Tam, and it's non-negotiable. My boyfriend knows it. So he will definitely smile at my suitcase and tell me every single time that there's no way I'm going to get the suitcase on the plane because it's way too heavy. And somehow I always end up right around the mark where I have to be with the weight. Sometimes he lets me put the ankle weights in his suitcase, but not always. I usually do at least bring like one thicker towel that I know that's just going to be reserved for Tam and like lying on the floors, because, or I'll ask in the hotels. Usually they give you extra towels, so that's another thing that I do. If we're traveling for a little bit longer, so like I guess 2 weeks, I usually will go on the first day and just buy like the cheapest mat at Decathlon that I can find. That's like €5, and I usually leave them. I know waist-wise probably not the best idea, but for my knees it's definitely a better idea than not using any mat over the long term. And then I usually just do take one set of weights. Mostly, I guess, even the smaller ones. Did I ever? Oh no, I didn't have small and large ones. I always had, because of the differences in weights, we could only get weights in kilograms. So I always would just do 1 kilogram for light weights and then double up and do 2 for the large weights. Until this year when I got the ironware weights, which never gonna change ever again, because those are definitely worth the investment. But yeah, just take one set of weights, just, use them, roll them up, and you can easily use them as hand weights too. And if there's a week where you would need like hand weights and leg weights and whatever, you're on holiday, you're traveling, so it won't be the perfect environment always. So let go of that, I guess. But that's really the case. Always take the weights out if you're having them in your hand luggage, and just like actively show them at TSA, or otherwise they're pretty likely to take them away. I don't know how often they've been like swiped for like explosives, and I was like, what the heck is that sand in there? I know they probably smell, but hey, it's not a bomb. But usually it's always a good point to make all of the officers laugh that are looking around you at that point. I'm like, what kind of crazy person is lugging weights with them?
Right.
But yeah, just take a couple of weights with you, whatever you can do. Even if you can't bring any weights, totally fine. You were still gonna get a good workout. and just find a space, either the hotel gym. What I've been doing, you are gonna get the weird looks. Just ignore them, because honestly, I think I always looked back and was like, you're on a treadmill and that doesn't look like fun. So what I'm doing here is a lot more fun. Earbuds, depending on where you're going. I mean, I've been usually been working out in the same room as my boyfriend, with him sleeping next to me. Maybe don't jump. That's like the only thing. We've been staying at places where he woke up and like told me, like, you gotta stop jumping because this house is gonna crash down in a second. I'm like, what? No, I didn't even really, I guess I didn't realize that that was back in Scotland, where he really had anxiety about me crashing through the floor. Okay. But yeah, just take it with you and then try again, and then also not beat yourself up. So usually with traveling, I mean, you're walking a ton depending on where you are going and what you're doing. Try to get it in, but if you don't get it in, or if you only have 30 minutes, do start class. You're still gonna have something done, and you will feel better for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a good point, not to beat yourself up, and also not to think it has to be the perfect workout. You know, like sometimes we get spoiled if we have a special space and we have all of our stuff and we have the perfect mat, and you know, you don't always have to have that. Like, exactly.
You can try to find a good room, like maybe, I mean, I'm looking at that stuff now when I'm booking a hotel room. It's like, okay, what's the size of the room? I need a little bit of space. Okay, we're gonna go for the bigger room. I've been doing that to my boyfriend, I remember. But sometimes, I think last year we went to Italy for a weekend, and there was no way. There was just no room in no space in our room. And I was like, okay, well, I brought all of my stuff, brought my mat, brought everything, because we were going by car. But it was like, you know what? I'm just gonna enjoy my time here. It's fine if it doesn't work out. But yeah, if you have a chance of like choosing a room, or like knowing kind of like what category you're in, then that's definitely going to help too, to make sure you're going to have enough space. If the hotel doesn't have a fitness area, which usually I might have also gone and looked for hotels that definitely had some kind of fitness center somewhere, just to make sure that I could get my workout in.
What advice have you received from the Tamily that has been impactful to you?
I think the same thing. When I was struggling with the shoulder and I was like talking to a lot of people, I remember Kim telling me, hey, go to fundamental, just make sure you're going to be okay. No one's going to judge you because you are going to scale down and you're not going to be in a teen anymore. No one's going to talk bad about you in a way. It's just make sure you're comfortable, make sure that you're okay at the end of the day. And that's where a lot of them have really helped and been like, hey, just keep going with it. And I've discovered that there's probably a lot more people doing fundamental than I had the impression, because I was always like, everybody's in a teen, I have to be in a teen too. And that's just not the case. And every workout is, yeah, perfect for you as long as you're healthy and doing well, having fun with it.
Well, and it's about, like, you know, your perception too, because if you get okay with whatever lane you need to be in, then you start to see like, oh, there's these people that are always in a teen, but then they tried, you know, fundamental too. So like it can feel that way of like, oh, I'm the only person who's not doing this level, but it's really not, like, especially because there's so many of us doing such a variety of things. And to your point, no one's ever like, I can't believe you did start. That's so easy. You know, like that doesn't happen in our community.
No.
And we all need to start sometimes. So definitely. Let's take a look at this question from Plant-Based Introvert. She said, so helpful to hear. I missed the part about the shoulders. How do you avoid injuries like wrists and shins? So I think one thing maybe you should talk about is the fact that your injury wasn't from the method. And then we can talk about wrists and shins.
Yeah. I guess at the end of the day, it was a lot of sitting on the desk and like kind of hunched over, so which created pressure. in there and joined and ultimately led to the ligament being inflamed. But then the hardest part is just to get rid of it and rid of the inflammation, which means for me is like a lot of chest opening stretches that I'm like trying to do now. And then for wrists and shins, well, for shins, first of all, shoes, like good cushiony shoes, especially if you're dancing. I've been doing dance cardio when I used to have more space than I have now in my own flat at my parents' place on like tile. I changed my shoes every 6 months the latest, because just the cushioning is kind of like hardening up, and you are going to need those shoes. I used to have Asics, what is it, Gel Nimbus. Those are always pretty good. I forget what mine are now. What are they? Something with a B. What's the brand? I don't see. I haven't really used them that much. Maybe it'll come back to me, I guess. So really make sure you have a lot of cushioning in the front and not in the back. That's the difference. When you have when you're running, you will usually land on your heels, so the heel's nice and cushiony, but then the front is not. So that's definitely the big part. For shins as well, you can Google on YouTube. You can Google like strengthening shins. So there's all like these. I think it also really comes down to runners exercises where you like lift your heels up and down like 20-30 times, and you will strengthen all the muscles along the shins, so that you can definitely build up strength there. And then probably don't go from like zero dance cardio to 30 minutes a day 5 times a week. Yeah. Build it up gradually. Do like 2 times a week, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Start with the low impact ones. Work your way up to the higher intensity ones. That's really important.
Yeah.
And wrists.
Critical.
I have a lot of cushioning. I have a lot of towels. I will usually try to, I'm not always mirroring Tracy when it comes to the wrists. Like if she's like on her hands like this, and I feel like this is straining too much, I will just go down. But always make sure also like really try to be very, very conscious of your abs working with you, which has been hard for me. I'm not gonna lie. My abs are lazy. They don't want to work with me. But that's definitely something that helps a lot when you're really like, if you're feeling a strain in the shoulders or in the wrists, maybe drop down for a second, reset, and really try to actively engage your core again, and then get back into the plank or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You want to set yourself so that you can feel like you can appropriately do the move, not where it feels extremely awkward, even though some moves, definitely are awkward. But one thing that I think is important, especially for new people to realize, is that, your wrists and your shins get stronger, just like the rest of your body. Yeah. And for a lot of people that, have done the method for years and years, when people ask about wrist pain, like they haven't felt wrist pain since the first 3 months that they did the method. So it's important to remember that piece, and every day matters to building your strength and flexibility.
Absolutely.
So Jen asked, what are your favorite kinds of shoes for dance cardio?
Like I said, the Asics Gel Nimbus is a really good one, which has a lot of cushioning in the front. And then the other, Hoka is the one. Hoka 1-1. I think the model is the Bondi that I have, and they're like really thick. I wouldn't use them for mat work. I have like the Nike, what are those? The Air 270s for mat work, which I really like for those. But Hoka 1-1 for dance cardio is definitely my fave at the moment, for sure.
Jen has another question, which is, you've become an awesome Tamily DJ. What is the inspiration for your playlists?
Oof, I wish there was one. Usually I have like a playlist open during the week, and then anything that comes into my mind during the week. Anything, might be a song in a class that I'm hearing, something on the radio, something I haven't listened to in a while. And then I kind of like just drop them in. Usually they're quite random actually, or I have this one song where I'm like, I think last week, for example, I had one song that I heard in a bar class that I did, and I was like, I remember that one. That was such a fun period. And that led to this whole, I guess, rotation back into my Swedish house mafia love that I had like probably 5 years ago or something, 5, 6, more like 8 years ago, I guess. And I kind of like build it around then, and then Spotify sometimes has these rewind compilations that are like 90s and 2000s, and it's always fun to go through those and look back into like, what did I like back then, and just play around with it. But that's usually it. I did one 80s themed playlist, and I'm definitely thinking there should be a 90s and probably a 2000s playlist as well. And what we also said, what would be a lot of fun, is a playlist with songs from like all of our origins, all of our backgrounds. Mm-hmm. So like Swiss artists that probably no one has ever heard of, or some German artists who maybe even sing in German, but there's a great beat to it, so you don't necessarily have to understand it. I guess all of these things would be a lot of fun. So definitely for the next couple of weeks, I think I have a few ideas that we could do. That would be fun. Excellent. But Jen, I might need your help with that. So.
Well, I'm sure she will be willing to help.
Yeah.
So Sigrid has another question for you, which is, what are your hair secrets?
Honestly, I guess a lot of it has to do just with the pill, like the hormones. That has helped. As stupid as it is, I wish there was a different secret, because I'm actually washing and blow drying them every single day, pretty much. So I'm doing exactly what everybody is not saying you're not supposed to do, like don't wash them, but I'm a huge head sweater. So my hair is drenched after class, and I don't know, the thought of blow drying the sweat is crossing me out. I can't do that. So I'm literally just, blow drying, washing every day. What am I using? I'm using John Frieda. I'm cheating a little bit. I'm using like the Go Blonder shampoo. So my sister's always like, you wouldn't be as blonde anymore if you didn't use that shampoo. I'm like, well, sunshine, and in summer it's usually longer. And then I think I use like a heat protection before blow drying, and then that's it, more or less. Probably going for a trim every 6 months or so. Well, but it's really been years of like not cutting it short. Mm-hmm. So
we have another question in the chat for you from Emily, which is, how did you get interested in law as a career?
John Grisham. Really, I think a lot of it has to do with his books that I've been devouring ever since I was 13 or something. But I remember that when I was 18, and it was kind of like I finished high school, and my parents were like, okay, so what do you want to do? What do you want to study? And I was like, I'm studying law. And my dad is like, well, the thing is, law is not as in a Christian novel. You know that, right? I'm like, yeah, I know that. And they sent me to go intern at a friend of theirs who was a lawyer and had his own like small practice in the countryside, so nothing huge, nothing impressive in a way. But they really sent me to him for 3 weeks, and were like, look, you're gonna get to all of the stuff. It's probably not always gonna be fun, but here's the thing, this is how the reality looks like. So if you really want to do it, then then get to it, I guess. And that kind of led me to be interested in it. And it hasn't stopped in the studies. I mean, I've taken a few turns and dips. I've been working in an office now for the past 2.5 years that had a very different focus from what I had done previously. So a lot of lobbying work, a lot of interest, basically lobbying for politics, but connections to food law and trademarks, which I've never done in my life before. And it's interesting, and now it'll be something completely different again, with road construction and basically protection for like floodings and all of the stuff. So everything that is going on from the state. So I'll be working for the state of Bern here in Switzerland, and that will be, again, very different kind of thing. But I think what I love about law is, while I've always done it, I love being in contact with people. I could not imagine sitting on my desk 24/7, not having any interaction with anybody. I love that I get to do that in my job, and I get to have these interactions with people, even if sometimes it's probably going to be the client that you have to explain a certain thing to and you're not really loving it, but you have to do it. And then also like that there's this many things we can do with it. It's not just like the classic criminal law or the classic corporate lawyer in a way, but there's like tons of different things you can do with it that are also going to be exciting. And I think this variety that it has brought me is really something that I'm appreciating so much about law as well.
That's excellent. It's so cool to get to learn different things like that about the Tamily. So we've had a lot of good questions in the chat, and to be honest with you, I still have like 10 questions to ask you that we planned, and there's only 9 minutes left in this interview. I'm not sure that that's ever happened, that I actually haven't got to the second page of questions. So we want to make sure that we don't forget your 2 truths and a lie. So is there a chance you're ready for that right now?
Give me like 5 minutes. I'll be there.
Okay.
I have such a hard time with these kind of things. I'm really not good at it.
It is tough to do it on the spot and not have people know what's true and what's not.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get to a couple of our other planned questions for you. What do your friends and family think of the Tracy Anderson method?
I think for now they all know about it because I'm pretty sure I've talked plenty of it. Sometimes they will think I'm crazy because I am the one person lugging my weights with me to our family holiday because I want to do the workout. But all in all, they just see that I will always exit my room with a big smile on my face and am happy doing it. So they're definitely supportive of it. I think my mom is definitely supportive, or everybody's supportive of it, because it's just a sports that I've been into and really having fun. And I know that she had probably a bit of her worries, I guess, in my teenage years because I just wasn't interested in any type of sports. And she used to play handball almost like semi-professionally. So for her, like, sports was a huge part of her whole puberty and growing up. And I just wasn't interested in all of that. And but I think, yeah, at the end of the day, they're definitely supportive and curious, but not curious enough to actually give it a try.
That's how it always seems to go.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of your Instagram handle?
Well, the 90 is my birth year, so 1990. That's where the 90 comes from. And then the middle part, the Lotte, is part of my first name, part of Charlotte, which is actually the probably Northern German most typical abbreviation, and what I'm usually called in my family, which is why I've chosen that. And happy is just, I guess I like to see myself as someone who's usually very happy and not very grumpy. So I guess I always rather have a smile on my face than have a bad day. So I guess that's where that came from.
Well, it's always nice to get to know what people, put into those thoughts. I love it when there's at least part of someone's real name in their Instagram. So it makes it easier to know each other. So now we're down to 5 minutes left in your interview, and 5 minutes has gone by since we talked about 2 truths and a lie, if you're ready for that one.
So 2 truths about me and a lie. Oh my goodness. Secret, that's a good one. And I should state them in a way that you can tell which one is which, huh?
Right.
which is perfect because I'm super bad at lying. Not typical lawyer like actually, but oh well. I love dogs, I guess is the first statement.
Okay.
Second statement is I come from a family with a lot of siblings.
Okay.
And the third statement is I have lived in 3 different cities in my life.
Okay, so dogs, siblings, and living in 3 different cities. Wow, this is difficult. Sigrid at least has to guess in the chat what she thinks.
She has to guess.
And anybody else can guess.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to think if you said anything about siblings earlier in this interview. I feel like maybe the siblings is not true. That's what Emily is saying. Okay, Nicole is saying the siblings. Jen is saying the siblings. Okay, we're saying you do not have a lot of siblings.
Correct. I have a sibling, but I only got my one sister, so definitely smaller family. My parents have both grown up with 2 or 3 siblings, so definitely larger families on those sides.
So you love dogs. That's good to hear. Yeah. And what 3 cities have you lived in?
Well, 2 in Germany. I was born in Bremen, quite up in the north, so close to Hamburg. And then we moved to Hanover when I was 6, a little bit more south, and now Bern. So those are the cities.
Excellent. Well, it's been awesome getting to know you a little bit more. I've never not asked all the questions, and I think we have 2.5 minutes left. So yeah, why don't you answer one more question? How did you discover the Tamily?
Over the Tamily Tales, really. I think over the website, and then I saw the Tamily Tales, and I was intrigued getting to know more people because at that point I'd been doing 2.5 years of Tracy on my own, pretty much, and I was kind of craving that connection with everybody. But Tamily Tales, and then I created my Instagram account and got searching.
Excellent. Well, Charlotte, thank you so much for such a fun and fast interview.
Absolutely.
Is there any last minute statement that you'd like to make while you have this audience?
I think just a big thank you to all of you who've been motivating me every single day. Those who take the time to comment, it always makes my day. If I have some sort of comment on the post, I do it hopefully to inspire others and to motivate others to get their butts on the mat. And if I can do that with just one person, then it's all worth it. So love you all, and I can't wait to meet many, many, many more of you, hopefully very soon.
We can't wait to meet you either. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Thanks for being number 102. And your interview is going to go on to a post on the Ask Tamily page, and then we'll also put it onto YouTube later.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Have a great Sunday, Tamily. Thanks for watching.